Since Election Day, various guests, attorneys, and elected officials have appeared on Newsmax and offered opinions and claims about Smartmatic and Dominion Systems, both companies that offer voting software in the U.S., and Newsmax would like to clarify its news coverage and note that it has not reported as true certain claims made about these companies. There are several facts our viewers and readers should be aware of. Newsmax has found no evidence that either Dominion or Smartmatic owns the other or has any business association with each other. We have no evidence that Dominion uses Smartmatic software or vice versa. No evidence has been offered that Dominion or Smartmatic used software or reprogrammed software that manipulated votes in the 2020 election. Smartmatic has stated that its software was only used in the 2020 election in Los Angeles, was not used in any battleground state contested by the Trump campaign. Newsmax has no evidence to the contrary. Dominion has stated the company has no ownership relationship with the Pelosi family, the Feinstein family, the Clinton family, Hugo Chavez, or the government of Venezuela. Neither Dominion nor Smartmatic has any relationship with George Soros. Smartmatic is a U.S. company and not owned by the Venezuelan government, Hugo Chavez, or any foreign official or entity. Smartmatic states that it has no operations in Venezuela. While the company did election projects in Venezuela from 2004 to 2017, it states it was never founded by Hugo Chavez, nor did it have a corrupt relationship with him or the Venezuelan government. For more on this, please go to our website at newsmax.com. Read facts about Dominion Smartmatic that you should know.
Funny how quickly Newsmax's tune changes when they're about to get sued. Here we have the latest conservative media retraction in light of two voting systems companies, Dominion Voting Systems and Smartmatic, threatening legal action in the face of months of baseless claims that these companies were complicit in widespread fraud to deprive Donald Trump of a second term. And this is especially important because until now, Newsmax had basically acted as a completely unaccountable alternative to Fox News. Even with the conspiracy theories that were somehow too off the rails for Fox, Newsmax was happy to take them and run, and that's exactly the kind of news that Donald Trump wants, which is why he began directing his supporters to Newsmax over from Fox, which even culminated into Newsmax overtaking Fox in the ratings for the first time, beating them by 26,000 viewers during a 7 p.m. slot earlier this month. And so, of course, Newsmax was happy to continue veering farther and farther to the right, saying whatever they wanted, defaming whoever they wanted, until now. Because now, both Dominion and Smartmatic have demanded retractions from Newsmax, along with Fox, OAN, and Trump's lawyers, for pushing their baseless election fraud claims in deference to Trump. Smartmatic's CEO issued a statement saying, quote, "They have no evidence to support their attacks on Smartmatic because there is no evidence. This campaign was designed to defame Smartmatic and undermine legitimately conducted elections. Our efforts are more than just about Smartmatic or any other company. This campaign is an attack on election systems and election workers in an effort to depress confidence in future elections and potentially counter the will of the voters, not just here, but in democracies around the world." And it seems that these networks have finally started to take the hint, because here's the same retraction or clarification on Lou Dobbs' show on Fox.
There are lots of opinions about the integrity of the election, the irregularities of mail-in voting, of election voting machines and voting software. One of the companies is Smartmatic, and we reached out to one of the leading authorities on open source software for elections, Eddie Perez, for his insight and views. Eddie is the Global Director of Tech Development at the Open Source Election Technology Institute. We asked him for his assessment of Smartmatic and recent claims about the company.
Have you seen any evidence that Smartmatic software was used to flip votes anywhere in the U.S. in this election?
I have not seen any evidence that Smartmatic software was used to delete, change, alter anything related to vote tabulation.
Smartmatic says its software was never used outside of L.A. County in 2020. Do you know whether or not that's true?
That is my understanding. Smartmatic functioned as the contract manufacturer for the Los Angeles County voting system, and that was a customized system that was effectively built to the county's order. I am not aware of them having any other direct customers' relationships with election officials in the United States.
I'm Maria Bartiromo, Show on Fox.
Welcome back. In our weeks-long look into election integrity, we have heard concerns about both voting machines and voting software, specifically a software company called Smartmatic. This week, we reached out to Eddie Perez for insight. He is the Global Director of Tech Development at the Open Source Election Technology Institute. His team develops open source software for elections. We asked him what he knew about Smartmatic and the claims some have made about that company.
Have you seen any evidence that Smartmatic software was used to flip votes anywhere in the U.S. in this election?
I have not seen any evidence that Smartmatic software was used to delete, change, alter anything related to vote tabulation.
And the reason they're taking these legal threats seriously is that these networks know that they were lying. They know that they can't stand behind their reporting because none of it is true. It was just a desperate performance for Trump so they could curry favor with him. That's it. There were no facts, no investigations, no journalistic integrity. They were just doing Trump's bidding because they were looking for him to send viewers their way. It is the rock bottom of news, all in service of a sore loser. In fact, the only network that hasn't changed its tune is OAN.
Well, how I would look at the 2020 voting experience for the average American is this. We all went in and voted on using hardware. The hardware that we voted on was called Dominion, the Canadian-owned hardware company that tabulates your votes. It has Chinese parts on it. Step 2, the software, known as Smartmatic or Sequoia. That software was originally coded out by communist Venezuelans. Step 3, for added integrity, your votes were shipped to Frankfurt, Germany, where your votes were stored on Amazon servers. And then step 4, in Barcelona, Spain, the votes were somehow tabulated there. And there was a little feature on the software that allows people to switch votes.
The voting systems vendors have also threatened legal action against Trump lawyer Sidney Powell, whose baseless fraud claims have blanketed the airwaves across right-wing media. And yet, curiously, despite peddling these claims on TV, when she was in a courtroom where she could actually prove these claims, she lost every single case she tried. Because, in case it's not already clear, all this is a disinformation campaign. But regardless if OAN and Sidney Powell ultimately follow Fox and Newsmax's lead and capitulate to these voting systems vendors or not, Dominion and Smartmatic should still pursue legal action against all of these networks and Trump's lawyers, because clearly the only thing they respond to is financial punishment. And so only if they suffer at the hands of a defamation lawsuit will they realize that they can't just spew whatever BS they want to push with no accountability whatsoever. As much as Trump tries to manifest his alternate version of reality, that's not how it works in this country. If you're gonna lie and defame people and companies, you need to be willing to accept the consequences for it. If you like this video, please check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I take a deep dive into the week's most important stories and interview major players in politics, including Kamala Harris, Katie Porter, Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, Eric Swalwell, Mary Trump, Al Franken, Cory Booker, and many, many more. Again, that's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, available anywhere you listen to podcasts.